This is kind of like a little mini session for us to unpack a specific issue that just happened this past week. For those who don't know, last week in Waterford, a local business owner posted, like those big illuminated signs that they have for like construction. Apparently, this man owns this sign, and he'll put different things on there down in Waterford somewhere in town. And throughout the year, he has put a whole host of things on this sign, including like masks don't work, things like that. This week, he put, "Don't let a man in a dress rule us, Waterford."
Wow.
He was referencing Dr. Rachel Levine, who works for Governor Wolf, but she has been a major proponent of all the different COVID specific precautions we've been taking as a state in Pennsylvania. And she is also a trans woman and has also received a lot of transphobic harassment and abuse in the wake of her becoming more well-known given COVID and her involvement in the media, representing the government. So seeing that locally was, on the one hand, not surprising. On the other hand, just upsetting nonetheless, and just like a huge problem that in the middle of town in Waterford, they have this giant illuminated sign spewing transphobic hate speech. So the community responded, and I'm sure we all had our own reactions. But I guess what were your reactions, you two?
So, girl, so now I was looking at the picture because since then somebody said they took it down. It doesn't matter if you took it down, you put it up there,
right?
Period.
Right.
So the business was the Dwyer Plumbing and Excavating Co. And I mean, I think that this has been a place that there's been a lot of controversial messages that they have been spewing, I would say, out on their property. And the person that they recently attacked, I will say, is Dr. Rachel Levine, like you had said, Lydia, who's actually our Secretary of Health for the Commonwealth of PA. And she has been going through a lot of these same situations that we've been seeing. A lot of businesses have been doing this and have been expressing their hatred for somebody that they just don't even know, and somebody who's been trying to work hard for PA and getting us and keeping us informed about COVID and keeping us aware about what's going on, and the person's trying to do their job. So that's period. Like, I don't understand. I get having a freedom of being able to say what you feel and say what you want, but at this point, when you continuously say things that are hateful towards a group of people or to a person, you're putting that negative energy out there for others to then capture on, because we know that people love to some people just love that negativity and that hatred. They just love to feed on that. And when you put that out there, some of the consequences are others are going to do the same thing. But then there are people who are going to speak out, and I'm proud to see the people who are speaking out against it. And they since then have taken their sign down. But I think that there needs to be more repercussions for that, because to me, I think that's ridiculous. I don't know. Marty, how do you feel?
It's just, I mean, it's not surprising. There are a lot of hateful people out in this community, and they're looking for any reason to blame anyone other than themselves and their neighbors who aren't taking this pandemic seriously. I can't understand why you felt you needed to communicate your hate on a public sign, but also, so you're saying there was also in the past him saying masks don't work, this and that. How can you blame the Secretary of Health, whose job it is to communicate to us, the numbers of people getting sick, what we need to do to protect ourselves, and ultimately make the decisions that are going to help us prevent the spread of this disease, and then at the same time encourage people to go do all the worst things, like go out into the world without a mask, go out into the world and eat in public spaces where you're taking off said mask and infecting each other. And I understand the frustration. We all have favorite business places we miss right now. We've missed for the entire year. We even may know people personally who own businesses that are suffering, and or have friends who are workers at these businesses who are suffering.
Right.
But ultimately, I want those people to live into the next year. I want their family members to live into the next year. I want us all to live and strive and come back to a more healthy economy. But keeping everything open and letting this disease spread like fire and kill is not helping anyone. And putting hate speech out there about a very educated person, a person who is a public servant, serves to help no one. And
thank you.
It's frustrating, and it's not surprising. And these are the type of people who, get contracts for a lot of the public projects that we do in the community.
Say it.
We fund this kind of hatred. And, oftentimes many of these people have sense not to publicly put it out there. But I hope the community and leaders remember this individual when it comes to, hiring someone to do their plumbing or whatever it is he does, and does not, encourage this kind of behavior. Because despite our different, like I ultimately can't understand, even if you don't fully understand, someone's identity, why you feel the need to be hateful.
Right?
I don't get it.
It has nothing to do with you. Like, literally has nothing to do with you. So why is her identity and her gender identity, like, has anything to do with this issue at all? Like, I think the frustrating part for me, on top of just the fact that, like, all this, like, anti-masking BS that, like, people just are not doing the things they need to do and are, like, not listening to science, which is just such, like, a basic thing. It doesn't have to be politicized. But the fact that you're not even critiquing her policy, you're not critiquing, like, oh, well, I've, done this research, or I think this or that. Like, it's attacking her as a person, that just feels very immature and ignorant. And it's really frustrating, because I think I would love to have a productive conversation. If you disagree with me, like, I would love to talk to you about it and have a discussion about this, and maybe we can both grow in the process. But as soon as you start hurling personal insults, like it just, it's not productive. B, it derails the conversation. C, it's harmful to people's, like, physical, emotional, mental health, well-being. But then on top of, like, it just discredits your argument. Like, I'm sorry, then you have nothing productive to say, because all you could do was attack her as an individual. So, like, please unplug your sign, go home. Like, we don't need that here.
Yeah. And go ahead. No, go ahead, Marty.
I was going to say, the issue goes beyond Dr. Rachel Levine, because she's not here in Erie County. It's more problematic that we have a lot of trans people who live in our community, and with that sign, you're communicating to them that they're not welcome, or that, it's what their people in the community are welcome to talk to them anyway that we would like to. And that's not what we're here to do. They are neighbors. They deserve to be respected. They deserve to be protected. And regardless of their identity, if they have a job to do and they're doing it well, you should just keep your mouth shut.
Yes. Okay. No, really, period. It's wild. And, and we had already, like, it's very misdirected at the wrong people. What we talked about earlier, like, just that hatred is like, why? Like, we all understand that we have to wear masks. We all understand that there's, going to be, like, I don't know. I think people look at this like, well, I don't want the government to control me. And so now you're going to put up a fight because you have to wear a mask, when we've been trying to, as Black folk, we've been trying to talk about how we would like our rights, and we would like for people not to view us a certain way. Like, it's interesting now where the tables are turned, where people feel like their rights are being taken away, or they're, because they can't go to a restaurant and freaking eat. And I don't know,
the rights they're fighting for. It's not equal. We're saying, please do not let police officers beat people down in the street. Please don't let police officers kill people in the streets. Those are our rights. And they're saying, I want to go eat at Applebee's and not wear a cloth over my face. It's not the same.
Yeah, because also because they're feeling like they're, it's an inconvenience for them because they have to wear a mask. And this is the thing. When I was at, and I remember there's a gas station I was just recently at. It was on West 10th or West 12th. There's a little gas station over there. And I was, I walk in, I was getting what I had to get. And I'm at the counter, and two young men walk in, right? And they had no masks on, and the clerk was like, "You need a mask. You cannot come in here without a mask." And he was like, the one guy got upset, like, "All right, man, I'm about to leave out of here." Another guy was like, "All right, well, I'm just gonna go." Yeah, you can't come in here without your mask. One, also the little local gas station, he said that he gets a fine. They just got paperwork where if somebody comes in without a mask on, and somebody was here an auditor was here, that person would get fined. So when I look at it too, I look at it as saving other businesses. You're making sure that that person is able to feed their family. I don't look at it as I look at it as unselfish, because wearing my mask in your place of business is not a problem for me, because if that's going to save me and save you, I'm cool with that. Like, I don't understand how hard it is. Like, I know it's annoying at times, but that's what we have to do at this moment. And a lot of people are like, well, the government is shutting things down because our cases are going up. Well, yeah, because y'all are choosing not to wear your mask when you go out in public. So of course, when you don't do that, there's the ramifications of we have to shut down. Like, I mean, what do you expect? And I know I'm getting on this rampage of a mama type feel, but like literally that's how I'm feeling. Like, no, but please wear your masks.
There at the root of this, whether we're talking about the sign or not masking, like, it feels so juvenile. It feels so freaking juvenile to have to argue with someone, to have to put a little mask on their, like, I'm just like, it feels like when teenagers rebel, they're like, I don't want, like, I remember, I mean, my sister was never this bad at all, but like she used to in high school, she wouldn't wear boots to school. She would only ever wear her like little sneakers, and she wouldn't wear a coat. She'd only wear a sweatshirt because she was like, and I'm sure like tons of kids are like that, where you're like, I don't need a coat. I'm cool. Like, I just want to look cool in whatever, like coats are dumb. Snow pants are dumb. I'm not wearing that. And that's how it feels. It's like, okay, like what? I don't even know how to engage with people like that, because it just feels so immature.
It's super immature. Like, I'm really starting to realize that, like, I think the same people that are refusing to wear masks are probably the same folks that refuse to wear to wear condoms. Okay. Like, no, really, like safe sex, y'all. Okay. The same thing. Like, it's the same concept. Sorry, I didn't take it there, because that's kind of how I started feeling. Like, how are adults complaining about wearing a mask? Like, then I'm really wondering how you are when it comes to other hygienic things. Like, if you're concerned about if you're upset that you have to wear a mask, I can only imagine. Like,
do you not wash your hands?
Yeah, like, do you not? Right.
Hygiene right now.
But actually, I kind of am concerned about that, because I've seen way too many like public health announcements about washing hands that I was like, I thought we already covered this in kindergarten. Like, I didn't know that this, like, Mike Kelly, what a gem, had made this like public service announcement after he got COVID a couple months ago. And said something about like, oh, well, we got to wear masks and, this or that, and you have to wash. I know some people are still debating about whether they have to wash hands or wear masks. And I was like, who the fuck is debating this? No one's debating washing hands. The only time I've ever had to debate someone washing hands is when I've had to talk to Benji after he uses the bathroom when he was like 4 years old. And I had to say, Benji, did you wipe? Did you wash your hands? Did you wipe a second time and make sure it was clean? Like, I'm sorry. I don't want to have to ask every neighbor in person if they've wiped their butt and washed their hands today. Like, I feel like that should be a given.
It should be a given, but honestly, like, you have to still put that out there. Like, I mean, and honestly, like, just to the administration, I know that there's people that are literally they're up in arms about, the Wolf administration and all that. I get it. Like, I get it. You are able to express whatever you feel. In my own this is my own feeling. I am impressed and proud of the way that they have tried to handle COVID and really trying to keep things safe. There's things that I agree with. There's things that I don't agree with. I do believe that if you're going to shut down, then you need to be giving people more money. Then you need to be having a stimulus that we need to be having. If you're going to shut down, you cannot just shut shit down without a plan of how we're going to financially support people. Like, I know businesses are struggling. Small businesses are struggling with that. So, I know people are rallying behind buying, going out to eat, those things. We need that. We need people to go out and spend their money at these businesses. But I do believe that the government should be looking at, how they can support us on a way where we need a check. There's no way we still are sitting here and having the Republicans and the Democrats still fighting, figuring out what they need to be doing for us, the people, we the people. That's the one thing that makes me upset about all of this. But other than that, when it comes to safety precautions, the wearing your mask and all of the, I don't know if people go to pa.gov, but they have a lot of different things. There's a lot of information, a lot of plans out there for people to stay safe. And there's resources out there. There's things out there for y'all to use. And so, I really want people to encourage people, please, before you decide to, even with this, you're listening to our perspective, go also do your research, go to read, go to Google what cases are like, please do your research, before we start to make comments and opinions about whether masks don't work. There's scientists that are out here that are studying things. There's so many people that are fighting to figure out a vaccination. That's a whole nother story, but there's work that's happening. So go do your research. Don't listen to the man that's making a freaking billboard about just bull crap.
Right.
If you want to point your anger to someone, point your anger to the people who refuse to be publicly hygienic and the government for not funding us to stay at home. That's where you should put your anger at, not people telling us to be safe.
Right. Or be mad at the situation too. Like, part of me thinks this is a sucky situation to be in. Like, a global pandemic freaking sucks. And that's like, no one wants to have to deal with that. But we are. And so some of this is just a product of the situation. And I think all too often in life, like whether we're talking about big systemic issues or just like interpersonal issues, sometimes you're stuck in situations that are bad and they're not enjoyable, and that's okay, and it's okay to be mad about a situation, and you don't have to redirect it at an individual. You don't have to be mad at a person. You can be mad that like this pattern exists or this situation exists, and like, let me fight the situation, not fight these individuals or fight the people, because like we need to band together to fight the situation.
Absolutely. Word.
COVID is the jerk and COVID is the real villain.
Right.
Yes, you're right.
Yes.
Like, let's fight that, and instead of fighting each other and blaming each other, because everyone is fighting a battle and dealing with their own, stuff.
Absolutely.
But yeah, when we make it personal, it just is not productive.
Absolutely.
Sit with yourself and your emotions, I think, is like, at least my moral of the story is like, we're all upset. We're all upset about a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, like, we're going to be so much more productive if we're fighting the issues and fighting the situations, fighting the systems, but not fighting each other.
You've been listening to the Our Erie podcast, the voice of reason in the fog of post-industrial America. Next week, we're going to talk about self-care and how we've been managing stress and living life during quarantine. Continue the conversation on Facebook /Our Erie series. This podcast is produced by John C. Lyons, Marty Nwachukwu, Davona, Pacley, and Lydia Laythe. Funding provided by Erie Arts and Culture. Music by Corey Cook. We appreciate you for listening to Our Erie podcast. Peace.